Welcome to the Bennie Report. Coming up in this edition, the Maneuver Center of Excellence bids farewell to its Command Sergeant Major.
And a combined arms exercise brings infantry and armor together.
Later, a local high school graduate signs a basketball scholarship. Welcome to the Bennie Report. I'm David Wright.
And I'm Jessica Taylor with the Fort Benning Public Affairs Office. Thanks for watching.
The Fort Benning Fire Department has been named the U.S. Department of Defense's Large Fire Department of the Year. Congratulations to Chief Timothy Siegel and his entire staff for the big win. And thank you for keeping Fort Benning safe.
The top enlisted soldier of the Maneuver Center of Excellence is moving on. Before he goes, he shares insight into the role of the maneuver force and advice he has for incoming soldiers. Melissa Bell reports.
The Fort Benning community held a farewell ceremony for Maneuver Center of Excellence Command Sergeant Major Tim Guden, as he will soon depart for his new position in Washington, D.C. During his time at Fort Benning, Sergeant Major Guden has not only served as a Command Sergeant Major for the Maneuver Center of Excellence, but also for the Infantry School, and sets the bar high for the caliber of NCOs and junior leaders developed here.
We don't want to settle for mediocrity. We want to get the best out of not just the soldiers here at Fort Benning, but we want to be able to get the leaders that come through here to give their best so that when they get out to those leadership positions in the operational force, that they are giving their best. And that their soldiers that they're leading are seeing that.
The development of soldiers is one that is close to Sergeant Major Guden's heart, as he has enjoyed being able to recognize the service of soldiers, family members, and civilians. He recognizes the importance of the maneuver force and often the impact and influence it has on the force as a whole, which is why he views it as critical to reach out, maintain contact, and include input from all areas of combined arms training and Army operations.
That's a pretty big responsibility to make sure that the education, the training, with all functional courses and professional military education, all of those things are not taken with a grain of salt, but are taken very seriously and understood that it plays a very important role, not just for the brigade combat teams and the maneuver force, but for the entire Army.
Since 2010, Sergeant Major Guden has witnessed a time of great change for Fort Benning with the arrival of Armor School, the reorganization of units, as well as establishing the Maneuver Center as a brand of excellence. For the incoming Command Sergeant Major Guden advises reaching out to establish and maintain relationships throughout Fort Benning and the force, as he has done with many units including the National Training Center, which offers insight into the operational force.
It's good to ask them, hey, what are you seeing junior NCOs not being able to do that they should be able to do? And then we can take that and we can look at that and figure out ways to implement it, make changes so that we can continue to make a better not just a unit, but a better non-commissioned officer that is leading soldiers.
And for soldiers new to the Army, Sergeant Major Guden says to go through the bumps and bruises of being in the Army. Learn from them and perform at your best every day. Strive for personal and professional development, get after it, and don't wait for it to be handed to you. He hopes that he's been able to help them in their careers and says that this position has given him a wider perspective of the maneuver force and its impact on the Army. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
Soldiers must keep their bodies performing at very high levels. To do this, they need a plan to achieve and maintain good health. The Army's plan is the Performance Triad.
Activity, nutrition, and sleep are the three aspects of the Performance Triad. It is a preventive measure used to increase overall health and to keep soldiers functioning at a high level.
In order for us to have smart, fast, lethal, and precise soldiers, we've got to embrace the Performance Triad. We've got to embrace it in a manner that optimizes our performance so we can deploy today and in the future.
The Triad encompasses three main areas in order to maintain mission readiness and performance. The first aspect of the Performance Triad is activity. A good activity level is vital to maintaining physical readiness, preventing injuries, and improving general health. Unit training can meet this need, but hobbies such as hiking or running can keep soldiers moving throughout the day.
Well, regular exercise and physical activity can lead to long-term health benefits. Reduce your risk of many chronic diseases such as depression, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, obesity, and stroke, and some forms of cancer, and help reduce healthcare costs overall.
Another pillar of the performance triad is sleep. Research shows that people spend about a third of their lives sleeping. Sleep plays a critical role in a soldier's overall health because it increases alertness and concentration and rids the body of the toxins that lead to muscle fatigue. Although training and missions can often disrupt sleeping patterns, maintaining a regular sleep schedule whenever possible, including avoiding naps, is the major aspect of positive sleep habits.
The other things that are important is to avoid eating, drinking, or smoking at least 2 hours before your scheduled bedtime. This is going to allow your body to really calm down and get ready for bed.
The third facet to the performance triad is nutrition. Proper nutrition comes from variety in your diet and making smart choices. Avoid quick fixes like juice or fruit diets. Instead, focus on good choices and balanced meals. Martin Army Community Hospital offers commissary tours and weekly classes where dietitians can teach soldiers and families all about good nutritional habits.
Often dietitians get pigeonholed as the fat boy police or the food police. Dietitians are able to help you and your unit and your soldiers increase your overall health, increase your athletic performance, better your PT scores, make you a more functional, more fit, and a better fighting machine.
Developing and maintaining good habits across all three domains of the performance triad, activity, sleep, and nutrition, will keep you mentally sharp and physically ready. For more information, search Performance Triad at www.armymedicine.mil. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
The best way to get to know someone from another country is to be invited into their home and share in life together. This is exactly what sponsors of the International Military Student Organization do to welcome foreign soldiers coming to Fort Benning for professional development. And one lady who has dedicated her life to this was recognized with one of the highest honors her country could bestow.
Within each graduating class of the Maneuver Captain's Career Course, there are typically 20 to 30 international military students. In a cresting ceremony, these students are awarded Maneuver Center of Excellence badges upon their graduation. But the journey that leads to this moment can often begin with uncertainty, as they are strangers to America. To ease this transition and to build goodwill with our allied nations, a sponsorship program is in place where host families can provide a home for IMS soldiers and allow them to truly experience American culture. German native Eva Aiken has served as a sponsor for over 40 years, selflessly opening her home to foreign soldiers and extending solid American hospitality. And at a recent IMS cresting ceremony, she was surprised with one of the highest recognitions possible from her home country. The German Secretary of Defense, Honorary Dr. Ursula von der Leyen, has awarded Mrs. Aiken the German Armed Forces Silver Cross of Honor for her enduring commitment and exemplary service.
It's a feeling you can't describe it. It is just something you have to feel with your heart. You give with your heart and you feel with your heart. And this is something that hasn't really sunk in yet. I think tonight when I go home, I will sit on my couch and will read it and I will cry again because this is the biggest honor of my life.
We do not have so many orders in the German Armed Forces. And this can be awarded to officers and enlisted once they have completed at least 10 years of service. However, this order can be awarded to civilians also for their outstanding performance in support of German Armed Forces mission.
The IMS sponsorship program is open to anyone who desires to take a genuine interest in a student and to help them know and understand the American people by giving them an opportunity to participate in home and community activities. Ava Aiken remembers her experience in first moving to America and never forgets the reason she has spent decades as a sponsor.
To make them feel at home. They all come here, they're all afraid, they're all strange, but you open your door and say, you're here at home. That's all that matters. You don't need to be rich, you don't need to know everything, but just open your door and say, welcome.
The German Armed Forces Silver Cross of Honor is rarely awarded to civilians, but Mrs. Aiken's lifetime contributions and leadership within the IMS community was long overdue for recognition. For more information on the International Sponsorship Program, visit the Fort Benning homepage at benning.army.mil. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, a combined arms exercise brings infantry and armor together.
No matter how far you move up in rank, it's always important to remember where you came from. Specialist Jordean Matthews reports from Fort Benning, where soldiers from 1st Battalion 10th Field Artillery get back to the basics.
Bang. Bang, bang,
Soldiers from 1st Battalion 10th Field Artillery developed a basic training exercise called the Rock Dirty Dozen on Fort Benning.
Rock Dirty Dozen is basically getting back to the basics of basic soldiering out of the warrior tasks and drills. It's similar to the EIB. That way, artillerymen, we can go out, train, make sure we're proficient on all of our tasks, on all of our weapons systems, just so we can set a standard and grow from this.
The idea for the exercise came up as the 3rd Armored Brigade Combat Team transforms to an Infantry Brigade Combat Team to help soldiers refresh their basic training skills. The battalion's non-commissioned officers worked out the logistics and planned the schematics in order to give the soldiers the best training possible. The majority of the 110 soldiers spent an entire week conducting the new exercise to ensure combat readiness. But how well did they actually do?
Some of the soldiers exceeded the standards, some did as average, but at the most part it was still a learning experience for all involved in it, and I think the soldiers enjoyed it.
And there's always room for improvement.
You'll never have everything down the way you think you have it down, and you always need a refresher because something new might have came up, a new step might have been included into it, and just to make sure you have your stuff down to a T, and it helps develop muscle memory. That way instinctively you'll know what to do without having to think about it all the time.
Specialist Jordean Matthews, Fort Benning TV.
Managing a complex battlefield is no easy task, but it is vital for the Army's junior leaders to master mounted maneuver in a combined arms scenario. Second lieutenants from the Infantry Basic Officer Leadership Course had the opportunity to do just that during their Combined Arms live fire exercise. Bob Kiser takes us there.
Future battlefield leaders can expect to integrate all arms, including infantry, armor, fires, and aviation assets in combat. This combined fire exercise, or CALFX, introduces them to combined arms maneuver with the goal of building smart, fast, lethal, and precise leaders for today's Army.
You know, we want them to be able to not only control troops on the ground, but also control, vehicles, control mounted maneuver, control enablers, UAS. Get them introduced to a multidimensional battlefield, so they're not just thinking about their own troops, their own platoon, but they're thinking, 2 steps ahead.
A few days before this exercise, these young soldiers were conducting squad-level live fires with 2 M1A2 Abrams tanks and 4 Bradley fighting vehicles, providing direct fire support, and a UH-60 helicopter on medevac call.
Stay with me, buddy. You'll be all right.
The lieutenants are experiencing a real-life chess game, and they must manage battlefield situations not within their usual comfort zone.
They come in here, they know how to manipulate their weapon. Right now, not only are they manipulating their own personal weapons, but as well as, these tanks, they're controlling, 23 other men on the ground.
Several scenario firsts were employed in this exercise for IBOLIC students. Bradleys firing, mortars employed, and tanks and Bradleys used simultaneously. Also, Instant I-2, an unmanned aerial system, provided bird's-eye view video to both armored and assault units on the ground. Communications among the firepower assets is key to getting what needs to be where at a given time. The idea is to make the infantry lieutenants thinkers, to get them to think outside the boots. The training incorporates stress, but down the road, they will be smarter leaders. Bob Kiser, Fort Benning TV.
After the break, Fort Benning honors its Medal of Honor legacy. Medal of Honor is the highest award for valor our nation can bestow upon a service member. Melissa Bell spotlights some of our Medal of Honor recipients and how Fort Benning honors their legacy even today.
From the Civil War to today's engagement, soldiers have received the Medal of Honor to recognize their extreme acts of valor. These stories of heroic service members are all around us, and on Fort Benning, their legacies are displayed on buildings, fields, and training areas dedicated to their selfless service. A record of service that inspires soldiers of today.
Since 1920, when Camp Benning was moved here south of Columbus, and they began to name these fields, the signs have gone up. And as soldiers have read those signs and asked the questions of their drill sergeants and others, they become interested in those acts of valor, which are either on the brown signs or on the sides of buildings. And they've been inspired by those acts of valor by Medal of Honor awardees.
On Fort Benning, it's places like York Field where families gather and celebrations occur that men like Sergeant Alvin C. York are remembered for their feats of marksmanship and bravery. Or Stewart Field, dedicated to Staff Sergeant Jimmy Stewart, a lone defender who gave his life to defend his wounded squad. On Eubanks Field, with its iconic airborne towers, paratroopers don their first parachutes and practice their parachute landing falls, all while paying tribute to the memory of Sergeant Ray Eubanks.
Eubanks Field is named for Sergeant Eubanks, a young man who, with a Browning automatic rifle, or BAR, advanced on the enemy, the Japanese, on an island in the Pacific. And moving forward, though wounded, and eventually his squad automatic weapon, the BAR, was destroyed in his hands. He continued to assault the enemy and using it as a club until he received the wound, which resulted in his death.
Buildings like McGinnis Wickham Hall stand tall to honor these great men of the past. In walking the halls, you never know who you may bump into, like retired Command Sergeant Major Bennie G. Adkins, a Medal of Honor recipient for his actions in Vietnam, who is full of advice for today's soldiers.
My advice to them is, whether they're a one-time soldier or whether they're a career soldier, to absolutely do the best that they can and accomplish the most that they desire to accomplish.
Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
For military dependents, it's challenging to earn athletic scholarships because colleges rarely visit military installations. That's why one high school graduate decided to have his scholarship signing on Fort Benning.
It was a very emotional day for Christopher Horton, who graduated from Shaw High School and came to Fort Benning's Child, Youth, and School Services to sign his athletic scholarship for Point University in West Point, Georgia. Chris had played basketball at CYSS since he was a little boy, but that's not the only reason why he chose this facility to sign his athletic scholarship.
They say military kids are sheltered. Well, I guess I'm an example, showing that I think, in my opinion, sports are sports. At the end of the day, no matter where you are, you just ball is ball, baseball is baseball at the end of the day. And when I transferred from on-post to off-post, it was no different.
Many people showed up for the signing, from family members and friends to coaches and service members.
I'd like to thank all the military soldiers, both past and present, who are here in attendance, or as I would say, my extended family. Thank y'all for serving the country and being there, even when I didn't need you there. I'm sorry. Thank you.
A scholarship signing is usually a happy moment, but Chris's dream of playing basketball at a college level almost didn't come true. About a year ago, Chris Horton broke his kneecap, an injury that could have ended his career before it had even started. But with the support of his family and friends, Chris pushed through the pain and dedicated himself to rehab and Point University.
Coach Sorrell, you, whether you know it or not, thank you for being here with me. When basketball didn't mean nothing. I'm sorry.
Even though Chris only played the first 3 games of his high school senior year, it was the people around him that believed in him and noticed his talents.
I got a chance to actually coach him for 3 years at Shaw High School, and the last year I left to go to Harris County High School, and then just kind of looking at his matriculation and his growth over those 3 years, he's grown up to be a very good guy.
An alumni from Point University who happened to work at Shaw High School referred Chris Horton to the recruiters of Point University.
Not only did he meet our qualifications or requirements as a basketball player, but as a young man.
The goal of playing basketball almost fell apart for this very appreciative young man, but his strong will and the support from others kept basketball in his life. Jessica Taylor, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, enjoy summer activities on Fort Benning.
Summer, sun, and Fort Benning morale, welfare, and recreation. What do these three have in common? Fun, fun, and fun. Let Fort Benning's MWR ensure you have an amazing and safe time this summer with something for everyone. Fort Benning Morale, Welfare, and Recreation officially opened their pools for the summer season. So if you are looking to stay cool during the Georgia heat, grab your family and friends and dive into one of the 3 pools. Or if you would rather stay out of the sun, the Smith Pool is open all year round. And the best thing is,
our pools are free. We're going to make it really convenient and affordable for you to have a fabulous summer without traveling from Post.
Sweet! And if you need more information, directions, or simply the opening times, visit MWR's website at benningmwr.com. But of course, the pools are not the only way to keep you and your family active this summer. Fort Benning's Child, Youth, and School Services have a lot more to offer.
We are registering now for our summer camps through CYSS, our sports camps, and our Camp Courage at the School Age Center on Main Post.
CYS's sports camps include basketball, flag football, and many more types of sports. For registration and more information, go back to the MWR website. If you are not really into action-packed sports and you would like to relax a little bit, check out MWR's monthly fishing night at Russ Park, which is free and fun for the whole family. MWR even provides the bait. Yummy! If you are trying to stay out of the sun, no worries. MWR's Family Entertainment Center has introduced their summer hours for you. The bowling alley offers specials for children, or you can enjoy reduced rates for bowling with the 30 for 30 card. And why does MWR do all that?
We know the sacrifice Fort Benning families make in serving our country. We make it really easy for you to enjoy your summer right here at home with free, great activities and amenities for the whole family.
Just remember to stay safe and hydrated. Apply sunscreen when necessary and never leave your kids or pets unattended in a vehicle. If you're out swimming, pay close attention to the lifeguards and follow their instructions. Have a great summer. Jessica Taylor, Fort Benning TV. So David, what kind of summer person are you, indoors or outdoors?
Oh, outdoors, definitely. This may surprise you, but I actually have a second career as a swimsuit model.
I am very surprised, but I can see that you still have a day job. And that will bring this edition of the Benning Report to an end.
But you can watch these stories and others on youtube.com/benningtv or at benning.army.mil.
And you can also like us on Facebook.
From the Public Affairs Office, thanks for watching.